Hi everyone, ScanNCut Canvas, the download program, has got a new feature. It's called Text on Path. It's been out several weeks now and I've only just recently had time to just have a look and a play with it. The new feature enables you to put text along or around a shape, as you can see here in this card. And if you want to know my initial thoughts and observations about the new feature, and if you want to know how I made this cutting file, keep watching. Hey everyone, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you how you can create text around shapes now using the new text to path function, which is available in the Canvas Workspace downloadable program. Now this is not available in Canvas Workspace online. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you come to canvasworkspace.brother.com, it will bring you to this page. There's also a link to this on my applelover53.co.uk website under ScanNCut tab and then under help and information. And basically, if you've not created an online Canvas Workspace account, this is where you do it. This is also where you log in and put your password if you have already created one. But before you go to log in, you will see this big tab up here and it says Advanced Editing on PC. Create, edit, convert and send cut data to and from the machine. Download, and it's available for Windows or Mac OS. On my YouTube channel, I have also done a split screen side-by-side comparison between the online version and the downloadable version. This is a thumbnail of the download version. It does look slightly different to the online version. The layout is different and some of the editing icons are in different places. So if you are unsure, go to my YouTube channel, go and have a look in the Canvas Workspace playlist and you should find the comparison video where I did a split screen. I had the online version on one side of the screen and the download version on the other, and I kind of walked you through. Okay, so assuming you've got the download program and you know what I'm talking about, you then just open it up, and within this download program now there is this new feature. I'm going to hit the text icon, click once on the page, and with my capital locks on I'm going to write happy birthday and hit enter on the keyboard. And I'm using Impact. And as far as I'm aware, Impact is one of the basic computer system fonts that's available on both Windows and Mac. And then the other thing you'll see, if you click on where the font is here, all the fonts on your computer will be listed. I found this works better with basic system fonts, or the fonts that will show up in here that you have in Canvas Online. For instance, online there's a font called Berlin and it's here. And if you go and have a look in Canvas Online and hover over the fonts, it will tell you all their names and they'll all appear in here. And in your computer you will have what are called basic system fonts, which are things like Times New Roman, Arial, Georgia, that kind of thing. I'm sure Impact is one of them. So you can try this out with other fonts, but I've found just from my minimal testing that it's better with system fonts. So that's my happy birthday. I'm going to come over to my shapes. I'm going to come down and I'm going to drag a circle, and then I'm going to make this circle 5 inches. I'm going to drag an imaginary box around both, And then on the Edit tab, which is the second icon down on the right hand side, when you come down here and you see Process Overlap, where we're used to seeing weld and divide and subtract, you'll now see this new icon. And if you hover over it, it says Fit to Path. Basically, the path is your shape and you're going to fit something to it. In other words, text. Okay, it's also known as text on path. If I hit that now, it will put that text on that path, and you will see there is a plus at the beginning of the letter. I can drag that plus and bring it to the top of my circle. Okay, just going to bring that up there. Now, if you want to say cut vinyl and you want to cut curvy text, this is as far as you need to go. You can click Convert to Shapes, and that's your file, and you could save it, send it over to your machine and cut that in vinyl, and you know, it will cut like that for you, and then you put it on whatever you want to put it on. But I want to take it a step further and show you how I made the text on path card. So I'm just going to hit undo until I get my text and my path back. With this selected, I'm going to right click and hit duplicate, and I'm just going to bring my duplicate down here. Just move that one up there. So I want my happy birthday now to be on the bottom of this circle, but I don't want it to be like that. I want it to read happy birthday from left to right. I'll just bring it back to the top so I'll show you what I mean. So I want the top words to read from left to right, and I want the bottom words to read from left to right. So if I select this, up here now you've got some editing options. There's a character spacing where you can use these up and down arrows, which in theory lets you move your letters, your individual letters, closer together or further apart. From the minimal testing I've done with it, I find that my computer freezes when I try it. So you play with it and see what happens, but I don't want it to freeze while I'm doing the video, so I'm not going to touch it. And to be fair, all my letters are all kind of fairly evenly spaced, so I'm happy with how they look. And again, the result you get here is also determined by the font you use. And I would also just say that if you want to weld text onto a shape like this, you basically need to have all the bottoms of your text all even. And I find capitalization works better. You don't want a Y where the dangly bit of the Y is down here and the rest of the letters are up here. But play around with it and you'll see what I'm talking about. So for now, what I want to do, I'm going to come to the last icon here that says path direction. And I'm not sure how well you can see it. I'll try and zoom in. But the arrow on this path direction is pointing to the right. So that basically means my text is going left to right. If I click on the downward arrow, you'll see there's another option where the arrow is going to the left. And that's what I want to choose for this word here. Now, that's how I want it to look. Happy birthday running like that, but not on the inside of the circle. It's put it on the inside of the path and I want it on the outside. So while this is still selected, I'm going to come to the next icon along from the right, and that says vertical alignment. I'm going to click on that and choose the bottom option. And that's going to move my text to the outside of my circle or path. And that's what I want. Again, you'll see I've got a plus at the beginning of my letter, and that's because my word starts with the letter H. So I'm going to select that cross and I'm going to manipulate or move my word back around this circle to where I want it to be positioned. Okay, and that's how I want it to look. Now, I want to weld both these words to a circle. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select my first one and come to Convert to Shapes, which will give me my curved text. Then I'm going to select my next one and do the same, convert to shapes. So I've effectively now got 2 curved words. I'm going to come back to the circle, drag it on, make it 5 inches. I'll make it red. I'll make it red in the hope that you might be able to see it better. I'm going to drag my circle up and position it just under the bottom of my words. And then I'm going to bring this one in and do the same. And now I'm going to zoom in the hope that you're going to see this better. So, obviously, as if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that to weld 2 things together, they have to overlap. So, I want the top line of this circle to overlap the bottom section of my words. So, I'm just going to use the arrows on my keyboard, the 4 directional arrows, and I'm just going to manipulate them until I think they're overlapping. I'm going to click anywhere on the page to deselect, and I'm now going to choose my words, and I'm going to do the same thing. You can do it by moving the mouse. I just sometimes find it's a little easier if you use the directional arrows. So this looks as though it's going through the letters of my words. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drag an imaginary box around all 3 shapes. So that's the first set of letters or path up here, my circle and my other set of letters. With all those 3 selected, I'm now going to come to the weld icon. We're still under the editing icon here, top right, and I'm going to choose weld. And as you can see now, the circle, because it was overlapping both sets of letters, has welded to my text. And by zooming in, you can see that you've got good gaps here between your letters and that they're not too thin, and that you know that you're going to get a good cut. Now, I'm not sure how well you're going to see this. I'm going to try and zoom in. On this section of the Y here, you can see I've got a bit of a funny line here and here. Now, if I double click to expose the nodes, I can manipulate those nodes or delete them. This here doesn't look like it's overlapped at all. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select this blue node here and I'm going to hit delete. And then I'm just going to drag so I've got no overlapping line there. Then I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to select this node and you can see I've got some funny kind of line going on here. Select it and delete it. And you can see now that the line overlapping that was here has gone, but this is now no longer touching my letters. So if I select this line, I can make it a curve and I can bring it down by using the nodes until it overlaps the Y. Now I'm just going to try and zoom out and click anywhere on the page to deselect. So this Y wasn't welded. So now if I select everything and hit weld again, it's now welded the Y to the line, and this is why you have to zoom in and look at it in close up. See, if it's welded, you'll know you'll have a gap. So imagine the line of the circle is continuing around the underside of your letters. So I've got a gap under the H, so that means that's all welded. So is all this. This is all welded nicely. I've got a bit of a funny line going on here, which I can sort out in a minute. The Y is now welded. This is all welded. So that looks okay, but the cleaner that you make your cutting file, the better it will cut. So I've got something odd going on here. So I'm going to zoom in on this section here. And again, I can see I've got nodes that are in the wrong place. So I'm just going to deselect the magnifying glass, click to expose the nodes, and I can see that I can move the node, and I think I'll delete it. That needs to be a straight line, so I'll change it to a straight line and click away. So you can see I've got rid of that now. Then I've got this other funny line here, which is it's a stray node. So I'm going to click on it, double click to expose the nodes. I'm going to click on it once, which should expose the node. I'm going to choose that node and I'm going to hit delete. And when I click away, you'll see now I've got a nice gap between this Y and this side of this A, which means it'll weld. I've got another funny one going on here. So I'm going to click it, select that node and hit delete and click away. And you'll see I've got nice spaces here now, which is where it's going to weld nicely. So I'm just going to zoom back out to 50%. And this now should all cut lovely. And, you know, sometimes you don't have to do this. It depends how well you've positioned your letters against your path. You know, is determined by how perfect you might get the weld straight away. But once you do the weld, if you zoom in and just make sure you've got nice gaps in between where your letters have welded to your shape, that will give you the best result when you come to cut it. So I am just going to fill this in with pink now, just in the hope that you're going to see it better. So that's my happy birthday welded to a circle. Now the way I made my card, I selected my shape once it was all welded. And while I'm still under the editing icon up here, top right, I came down to offset and I used a 0.08 spacing. The offset direction was outward. I left it as it is, rounded, and I made sure that create an offset line only around the outer edge was selected, and I said OK. And that has given me my offset, which if I now fill in black, ooh, and then if I position this behind, you'll see. So with it selected, I'm going to go right click and do arrange, center back. I can select both using the align icons and can make sure they're centered so I can see how it looks. And that is how I made the matting layer for my card. So you need to cut these separately. So you need to save your file. I would always save, when I do anything in the download program, I always try to remember to save it as a download file and then transfer it over to my machine as a ScanNCut cutting file. So anything you make in this program doesn't save as an FCM, it saves as a CWPJ, something like that, Canvas Workspace project file. And if you go to File and Save and give it a name and save it and just keep it somewhere on your computer, that is a downloadable program file and you can call that up and add to it later. So I would always do that, and then once you've got it saved, I would then go to File export as FCM and put it on a USB stick and put that in your machine if you don't have Wi-Fi, or if you do have Wi-Fi, use the transfer FCM file via the internet, and that will go straight over to your machine, and you can then load your mat and cut this design in 2 different colours, and you'll have your front layer and your matting layer. So I hope that that was helpful for you. As I say, have a play around with it. I've not had a lot of time to play with it, even though it has been out now for several weeks. But I just thought I'd give you a brief overview. You know, try around and use other shapes and words and see how you get on. So please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you don't already do so. Make sure you've got the bell notification icon turned on, and that way you'll always get notified when I upload a video, and I'll see you in the next project. Thank you.